Thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to start and recognize Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett from the Virgin Islands, who is joining us as well. Governor Mapp, I'm going to allow you to expand on the same line of questions. What have you been able to determine at this point what the characteristics of that survivability were, and so that we can make sure that in future installations that's incorporated?
Not as yet, but this particular entity that is the third-party provider, their panels also for their private clients, in huge arrays, also seem to survive very well, and that just indicates to us that in just putting these people or hiring them, we've got to be careful in terms of how they're installing them and what systems they are using. Because we had that different experience.
But it seems like there's probably something in the engineering that we need to look at, to ascertain what that is, and then make sure that any future installations, regardless of vendor, learn those lessons. Governor Rosselló, I wanted to ask you, as you said, the hurricane was an unprecedented catastrophe for Puerto Rico, but given the antiquated nature of the pre-hurricane PREPA grid, it's also an opportunity to create a much better, more modern, more resilient electrical grid for your constituents. What do you want to see in a new grid in terms of generation, transmission, distribution? What would you like that to look like for your constituents?
Well, I would like it to be an opportunity for us to leapfrog from really 19th century technology to the vanguard of the 21st century. And what does that look like in Puerto Rico? Well, we have major, several flaws in terms of the design. Aside from having antiquated, power plants, most of our generation was done in the south. Yet most of the people and most of the consumption is done in the north, so you lose about 12 to 15% in the transmission going northward. It is time, it is an opportunity to rethink that. Where do we have that generation and make it better? Piggybacking on Senator Cassidy's comments, I think it is an opportunity also to leapfrog in renewables. I've envisioned, us leapfrogging to 25% renewables in Puerto Rico, and recognizing that there are, some mitigation strategies that we need to put in place. That is why we have worked with the PREPA Governing Board to have a group of thought leaders that can actually help us in the design and looking forward, and specifically looking where this could happen. Last mile events in Puerto Rico are very important, and it's important to consider the terrain. Puerto Rico is not flat, it's got a mountainous region, and so we will be very aggressively pursuing that we get to 95% of energy consumption and energy generation, but that last mile always takes more time because there are sort of remote areas of the island. This is an opportunity to make microgrids in Puerto Rico so that they can be sustained in different areas. And lastly, adding to this whole component of renewables, I think it is an opportunity to look at this from a bottom-up and a top-down approach. With the collaboration of FEMA, we were able to, for the first time in the STEP program, allow that either a power plant generator be added to the house, or a renewable battery pack solar combo be added to those homes in the STEP program. Now, we expect that there will be about 80,000 homes that will be introduced in the STEP program. Think about what that means if half of them decide to go with a renewable battery pack route. It means that now you have the starting conditions to actually think about things like a virtual power plant in Puerto Rico, where you can have smart distribution of the energy, and where, some days it might be cloudy in some areas in Puerto Rico. It'll be sunny, certainly, in others as well. And that energy can be distributed alongside, of course, a complement of utility size and industrial size generation, which I envision, Senator, should start transitioning from petroleum-based generation, which is costly and of course, more harmful, to gas, liquid gas, and so forth generation. So those are, in a nutshell, what we envision the sort of future grid of Puerto Rico looking like.
I'm about out of time. I would just add to that, when you have retail electric rates in the mid-20s, that gives an awful lot of room to be able to build that new distributed clean grid, because when you have PPA agreements being signed in the U.S. for 4.5 cents a kilowatt hour solar plus storage, that really creates some real opportunities here to do that and do it in a way that serves your constituents without gouging them as well.
Yeah, I think it is an opportunity based on that margin, based on that differential. I'm sure that the governor as well over here has the same problem that can become an opportunity.